Welcome in, everyone, on a Tuesday. What is up? Welcome back to Red Cedar Radar, the Michigan State Spartans podcast with rivals, sponsored, of course, by Nudge Printing. Go to nudgeprinting.com and find all of your quality Michigan State apparel. Sydney, welcome to the show. How the heck are you? We have lots planned today.
We do. Lots to talk about. I'm doing well. How are you?
Great. So I'm taking a film class right now, right?
Okay.
And we've started by watching pretty much the most boring movies you could think of. Actually, it's not that boring. I say that it's like, they're not that boring. Okay, so like we watched Casablanca, we watched all the old movies. Like we're watching another movie this year for this. This one actually has sound and it's in color, so we have that going for it. Anyway, so I have taken it upon myself to sort of watch more movies myself, right?
Okay.
And so I don't know if you know this about me, but I am the biggest racing fan, and I say this because, and I say this with one caveat, because I used to love NASCAR. Now I hate NASCAR. So I want everyone needs to know that about me, because like I cringe sometimes at what NASCAR has become. Not that sometimes I'm embarrassed for myself.
So NASCAR fans, come for him in the comments, please.
Right. Please do. But so I watch a lot of Formula One racing. I'm a big advocate of watching. There's a few like women racing events that I'll watch, and two also Formula E, which is like basically like electric Formula One, which is interesting. An interesting side note. And this is again not a Formula One podcast, but it's interesting because Formula One doesn't have the rights until of electric cars until 2039, which is interesting because a lot of states are banning electric cars, and Formula One's supposed to be like this whole thing where like they are building the cars of the future, right? Like you'll see the technology in a Formula One car, and then several years later you'll get it in your consumer vehicle. So that's like that's kind of the cool thing about Formula One, is it's like a science fair for cars, right?
Yeah.
So it's great. Anyway, that was just a context to preface what I really want to get into real quick before we start talking about Michigan State, because Michigan State's news has been somewhat dreary lately, especially since I've been following the hockey team. So I really wanted to preface with something a little more sad to fit the mood, right?
Okay,
so,
set the mood, yeah.
So yes, so there's this movie, and I just started watching it, and I am already convinced that it is probably my favorite movie that I've ever seen. And also, I know this is in high regard, right? So also, I think it is the saddest movie that I've ever watched in my entire life. It is sadder than any Michigan State game you'll ever watch. So, or the saddest ones, right?
Yeah.
So it's titled "The Art of Racing in the Rain," based on a book, right?
Okay.
In a novel that came out in 2008. Okay, it's titled "The Art of Racing in the Rain." The novel was originally by Garth Stein. Okay, so the movie stars Milo Ventimiglia and Amanda Seyfried.
Okay.
And so it also has Kevin Costner in it as the voice of the dog. So it's about a dog and his owner, right? So the dog is narrating the whole movie. Okay,
I like that.
I love it. Anything about a dog is 100% great, right?
Yeah, but then I always get nervous that the dog's gonna die.
The dog does die, but that's not the point of the movie.
Spoiler alert, first of all.
But the whole point of the movie is the dog's life. Like that's the whole point of the movie. So it's not like Marley and Me, right? Like it's not like that level of sad where the dog just dies at the end and you're just like don't know what to do with your emotions. But so there's this dog. It starts with this dog named Enzo who has hip dysplasia at the end, right? So that's where it starts. Like it's one of those movies where it starts, you already know sort of the ending and how to get there is the point, is the plot.
Yeah.
Right? So it's a golden retriever, and it's about this dog named Enzo, after Enzo Ferrari, and his owner, who is a race car driver. Okay, and so it's basically about his life, and the dog believes in this legend that if you live your life as a dog and you are prepared as a dog, then you will be reincarnated as a human, right?
Okay.
And so that's the whole point. That's like the whole plot of the movie, is that this dog is trying to prepare himself for his human life and being the best human, right?
Okay.
And I'm not going to lie, I started crying 10 minutes in. And I just did not stop at all, right? So, and again, I don't want to spoil, no spoilers, right?
No spoilers except for
to this,
everything else
right?
that you
I
just
know.
said, but whatever.
Right. Well, but you have to know what the movie's about, right? So he uses, like, there's this point where the dog actually helps him get custody of his daughter, right? Like, that's a major point in the movie. And at one point, there's a quote. Like, honestly, there's a lot of quotes. Like, I don't think that anything has really spoken to me, like a movie adaptation about a book, about a movie coming from a book, more than Looking for Alaska. And this is on that level, right? Like, Looking for Alaska was a novel masterpiece. And this is just great. Like, there's a point where he says, there's no dishonor in losing the race. There's only dishonor in not racing because you're afraid to lose. And that is quote of a lifetime.
Yeah,
genuinely.
quote to live by.
Quote to live by. But again, it's about a dog, and he lives through his life. And again, it just 100%, 10 out of 10, recommend. Like, I had to start the podcast with that.